It began as a perfect Las Vegas night. A sold-out country music festival, warm desert air, and the skyline glowing over the Strip. And then, the night was shattered.
Just be advised, it is automatic fire. Fully automatic fire from an elevated position. Take cover.
Friends scattered. Strangers pulled each other to safety. And across the city, first responders rushed toward the unknown.
Susan! Get out there. Stay there.
But how did a night of music and celebration transform into an unimaginable tragedy?
Run! 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 Run!
What's your place? Get back.
This is the story of October 1st, 2017. The deadliest mass shooting by a single gunman in American history. Told minute by minute. Las Vegas rises from the Nevada desert like a mirage. An oasis of glass, neon, and noise. Lights pulse in every direction. Marquees promise jackpots and sold-out shows. And the streets hum with a steady current of taxis, limousines, and tourists. The casinos never close. Music leaks from open doors into the night, mingling with the distant roar of traffic and the low thrum of bass from rooftop clubs. It's a city built to keep the party going long after the sun comes up. This weekend will be no different. The Strip readies itself for another wave of tourists, concerts, and late-night crowds. In a few days, the Route 91 Harvest Festival will take over the streets below, with performances from Eric Church, Sam Hunt, and Jason Aldean. The stage framed by the lights of the Mandalay Bay. That same day, a man named Stephen Paddock arrives in town. He checks into the Mandalay Bay Hotel, room 32-135, a corner suite with a commanding view of the festival grounds. The windows stretch wall to wall, floor to ceiling. At first, he brings no luggage, just spends 2 hours between his room and a sushi restaurant downstairs. At 4:53 p.m., he drives his Chrysler Pacifica to the valet. A bellman loads 5 suitcases onto a cart. Paddock insists on staying with the bags, so the bellman takes him up via the service elevator, a request not unusual at the hotel. At 9:40 p.m., he leaves with 2 suitcases. Drives an hour to Mesquite, where he lives in a retirement community and stays overnight. The next evening, he returns to Vegas, stopping first at the Ogden, a downtown condominium complex where he has also rented rooms for the week. He'd checked in there the previous Friday during the Life is Beautiful festival, after searching online for its lineup and expected attendance. In the days that followed, his searches turned to the Mandalay Bay, the Route 91 Harvest Festival, and police tactics, including the question, do police use explosives? Late Tuesday night, he returns to Mandalay Bay. This time, 7 more suitcases are brought up by a different bellman, again via the service elevator. Paddock tips generously, then spends 8 hours gambling, playing high-stakes video poker, drinking comped drinks, and feeding thousands into the machines without showing emotion. The following night, the pattern repeats. More trips, more luggage. He moves with the same slow, deliberate rhythm, never hurried, never flustered, his comings and goings blending into the noise of the casino. On Thursday, he buys a .308 bolt-action rifle, then drives out toward the edge of the desert. At a shooting range, the afternoon heat shimmers off the sand. The air cracks with gunfire from nearby lanes, bursts, pauses, the ringing echo of metal on metal. Friday, the Route 91 festival opens. Paddock checks into the adjoining suite under his girlfriend's name, requests housekeeping leave a food service cart in place, and makes another overnight run to Mesquite. That same day, he wires $100,000 to his girlfriend in the Philippines. By Saturday, Do Not Disturb signs hang on both suite doors. More luggage arrives, 2 smaller bags, then his final trip to Mesquite. Early Sunday morning, he returns for the last time. By 12:16 p.m., he has moved a total of 21 suitcases, 2 smaller bags, a laptop bag, and a large container into the 2 rooms. He plants a hallway camera on the food cart, opens and locks the adjoining doors repeatedly, and makes quiet adjustments to the space, moving furniture, blocking doors. From his windows, the entire festival grounds are in clear view. At 9:36 p.m., he locks the deadbolt to one room for the last time. 4 minutes later, Jason Aldean takes the stage. Paddock turns the other deadbolt, sealing himself inside. It's the final act of isolation. From here, in the darkened room, he takes up his position at a smashed window, settling behind the scope of his rifle. Below him, thousands of people sing and sway, unaware that they have stepped into his crosshairs. On the surface, nothing drew attention, but each detail had been part of something larger, a plan no one could yet see. On stage, Jason Aldean plays to a sea of fans. His voice carries over the crowd, more than 20,000 fans packed shoulder to shoulder. The strip glows in the distance. The air is warm, heavy, with dust and sound. Then, sharp cracks split the air. At first, confusion. Some think it's fireworks. A few laugh, glancing upward for sparks that never come. But the cracks continue. Yes, you heard I was put onto the metal on wheels. Some investigators later believe those opening shots weren't aimed at the crowd at all, but at nearby aviation fuel tanks. His bullets pierced the steel, but jet fuel doesn't explode on impact. It's too stable, too dense, and the tanks are built to withstand it. The attempt failed. On the ground, the music falters. The band plays on, But the rhythm shifts. The crowd ripples with unease. Faces turn toward the exits. A few begin drifting cautiously away. Then, 30 seconds later, everything changes. The illusion shatters. The crowd surges. Panic catches like fire. Stage lights flare, illuminating a sea of faces. Fear where there was joy. Chaos where there was calm. At nearly the same moment, high above inside Mandalay Bay, hotel security officer Jesus Campos reaches the sealed door to Suite 32-135. He has come to check an alarm, a routine call. He tests the handle, but the door doesn't move. It's jammed, barricaded from within. Campos pauses, frowning, then lifts his radio to report that the door is blocked. He does not know what waits on the other side. As Campos turns to leave, rounds tear through the hallway, blasting from the suite where Paddock has repositioned, swinging his fire from the broken window to the corridor. The drywall shreds around Campos. A round strikes his leg. He collapses, the force dropping him hard onto the carpet. Gritting his teeth, Campos crawls for cover. The strip is transformed. Police frequencies ignite. Officers begin converging. Security scrambles. The quiet hotel corridor becomes the front line of war no one saw coming. And still, the gunfire rains down. Paddock's weapon sweeps the front of the stage, the thickest part of the crowd. Bodies collapse in clusters.
Go!
17 seconds later, a third burst. 20 seconds later, a fourth. In less than 2 minutes, more than 300 rounds have been poured into the festival grounds. Strangers become medics. Belts tighten into tourniquets. Shirts press against wounds.
Keep coming! Keep coming!
Then, silence. Nearly 1 minute, 50 seconds. A haunting pause. The crowd does not know what it means. Some freeze, waiting for the next eruption. Others seize the moment, breaking for gaps in the fences, sprinting across open ground, dragging the wounded, shielding loved ones. High above, Campos lies wounded, gasping, clutching his leg. Then, a sound. Footsteps. Hotel engineer Stephen Schuck rounds the corner. He was on his way to investigate the barricaded door Campos had called in. Campos shouts a warning. Schuck dives back, the two men pressed against the wall, trapped in the narrow hallway. Campos and Schuck wait, unsure if the shooter knows where they are. Unsure if another burst will tear through the wall. Unsure if they will ever leave the hallway alive.
Automatic fire coming from one floor ahead. One floor above us.
Possibly 32nd floor, Mandalay Bay. Let's gear up and go in.
Wait a minute, tell me here, dude.
A patrol car races onto the strip. Its lights cut through the chaos. Officers spill out, weapons drawn. They press themselves against the concrete wall, advancing cautiously toward Mandalay Bay. Every second, bullets crash down from above. They wave desperate concertgoers back into the venue, away from the open line of fire. And then, Paddock shifts. His barrel drops. He sights them.
Go that way, go that way, go that way. Hey, they're shooting right at us, guys. Everybody stay down. Stay down.
Where's it at? North of the Mandalay Bay. It's coming out of a window.
What?
Take it out! Take it out!
North of Mandalay Bay Drive, east of the boulevard. We got about 40 to 50 people. We're pinned against this wall. Break. We're taking gunfire. It's going right over our heads. There's debris coming over our heads.
6 minutes in. On stage right, the grounds are nearly empty. A sea of bodies already gone. But stage left is different. Hundreds are still trapped, crouching behind barriers, pressed flat to the dirt.
God damn it.
Paddock unloads his 8th burst. Two officers push inside the Mandalay Bay. They move quickly, searching for security staff who can get them to the 32nd floor. The floor where Jesus Campos and maintenance engineer Stephen Schuck are pinned down. But the hallways are deserted.
Security.
I need to get into that room.
Finally, they find a lone security officer. He leads them to a service elevator still in operation. It is their way up.
I'll meet you guys halfway.
I can't fucking breathe.
You good? Okay, you guys.
But Paddock isn't finished. He answers with a 10th burst.
Stay against the wall. You guys, everybody stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down.
Everybody out! Get out of here!
Couples drag each other toward the rear gates. Strangers carry strangers, arms locked around shoulders, slick with blood. The crowd is no longer a crowd. It's a tide, surging, desperate.
Run! 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 This way! This way! Don't stop running! Active shooter! Run!
An 11th burst, shorter, uneven. The rhythm falters as if his weapons are tiring.
Go! Don't stop running! Active shooter! Go!
10:15 p.m. A 12th and final burst. No more than 50 rounds. Slower now. A stuttering cough of fire. Then, silence. The two officers close on the 32nd floor. They sweep the hallway, eventually finding Campos and Schuck. Both are shaken, but alive. Campos, limping, grips his leg, where the bullet tore through moments earlier. Their survival feels improbable. Two men caught at the very edge of the storm.
1, 2, 3, go. Let's replace. Get back.
Reinforcements arrive. Together, they begin the long, painstaking process of clearing the floor. Some guests stumble out half asleep, confused, unaware of the chaos that had erupted only a few doors down.
Grab someone, grab someone. Police, wake up. Wake up.
Every knock carries risk. Every hallway corner could conceal danger. Further down the hall, another tactical unit stacks against the door of Suite 32-135. The command is quiet, tense. They ready the charge. The hall falls into a hush, broken only by the rising whine of the wind through shattered glass. The sound of it is unmistakable. A low, haunting whistle, funneled through the gaping voids where Paddock had smashed the windows wide open.
Yep. Looks like it might be a camera of some sort.
The officers notice the camera rigged to a service cart outside the door. One bends down, inspecting it closely. A chilling reminder that the gunmen had prepared for their arrival.
Okay, I'm gonna hold on this door, okay?
The first officers breach. They move cautiously, rifles raised, anticipating the sudden burst of gunfire from within. Every step is deliberate, adrenaline pounding, their eyes scanning every shadow.
Okay, cover on that. In with you, with you.
But the room remains silent. No shots, no movement, only the restless moan of wind through broken glass. Inside, an arsenal. Dozens of rifles laid out with precision, scopes, ammunition stacked in neat piles, thousands of rounds, a fortress built in plain sight. And in the center, Stephen Paddock, lifeless. A self-inflicted wound, his final act. In 9 to 11 minutes, he fired more than 1,000 rounds. He killed 58 people that night. 2 more would die from their injuries in the days after. Over 400 struck directly by his bullets. Another 400 injured in the stampede to escape. In all, more than 860 lives torn apart in less than a quarter of an hour. America's deadliest mass shooting. And at first, almost nothing was known about the man behind it. No manifesto, no note, no explanation. A man who, over months, stockpiled rifles and ammunition with methodical patience. And then, from the windows of a luxury suite, unleashed devastation on a crowd of thousands. A plan so meticulous, so carefully timed, that only one question lingers in the silence that followed. Who was Stephen Paddock? 1953. Stephen Craig Paddock is born in Clinton, Iowa, a small industrial city pressed against the Mississippi River. It is post-World War II America. The factories hum, trains whistle through the night. Beyond the smokestacks, farmland stretches flat and endless, broken only by silos and grain towers. Life in Clinton is measured by church gatherings, high school games, and the rhythm of shift work. Neighbors know each other's names. Families hold tight. But beneath the surface, not all lives fit the picture of post-war prosperity. Families on the margins feel the sting of poverty more sharply. Single mothers have few safety nets. Children grow up with the weight of instability on their shoulders. Stephen is the first of 4 brothers. For a brief time, it is a normal childhood. But the Paddock household is already defined by something darker. His father, Benjamin Hoskins Paddock, is no ordinary man. He is a convicted bank robber with a long record, a career criminal whose life runs on the opposite current of the American dream. Stephen is just 7 years old when his father is sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. But even that does not end Benjamin's story. 9 years later, he escapes, vanishes, slips out of custody and disappears into the underworld. The FBI adds him to its 10 most wanted list. Posters declare him psychopathic, armed, and dangerous. And then he is gone. For Stephen and his brothers, the absence is permanent. Their father will never again be part of their lives. Their mother is left alone, raising 4 boys while bouncing from place to place. Arizona, California, always edging toward poverty, never far from collapse. The brothers will later speak of a childhood shaped by anger, a resentment that grew inside them. But Stephen seemed different. He did not lash out. He did not explode. Instead, he withdrew inward, quiet, controlled. He thought in numbers, in details, in rules that could not be bent. By the mid-1970s, he is drawn into the structure of federal service. His first job, a mail carrier for the U.S. Postal Service. The most ordinary of duties, measured in routes and schedules. Later, he shifts into auditing for the Internal Revenue Service. Long days poring over financial records, tracking decimals across pages, navigating the rigid order of tax law. In the 1980s, he moves into defense contracting, still federal work, still inside the machinery of systems and rules. He handles money, paper, logistics. He builds a life within structures designed to keep chaos at bay. And then he walks away. He leaves public service behind and turns to private fortune. Real estate, apartment complexes, rental properties, small deals quietly stacked until they form something larger. His empire grows in silence, one acquisition at a time. His success is patient, calculated, deliberate. And wealth brings freedom. Freedom to gamble. For more than 25 years, casinos become the constant backdrop of Stephen Paddock's life. Not the table games filled with banter and bravado, not the spinning glamour of roulette wheels or blackjack hands. Paddock prefers the solitary glow of video poker machines. Hour after hour, day after day, he sits alone at a terminal. The screen flickers. The numbers churn. The rhythm is hypnotic. Sometimes he ventures into high-stakes rooms where the buy-ins are thousands of dollars, and a night's swing can be the difference between a small fortune gained or lost. To Paddock, gambling is not a thrill. It is mathematics, a cold calculation of probability, odds, and endurance. The casinos notice. He becomes a familiar face. Complimentary suites, free meals, perks reserved for those who play big and play often. In the months leading up to October 1st, reports suggest Paddock hit a streak. He walked away with roughly $860,000 in winnings. For most gamblers, it would be life-changing. For Paddock, it was just another transaction. By his 60s, he is living in Mesquite, Nevada, a quiet retirement community 80 miles northeast of Las Vegas. He shares the home with his girlfriend. To neighbors, they are quiet, pleasant enough. He waves politely. He is seen loading his car, sometimes traveling. Conversations are short. There are no loud arguments, no police visits, no signs of trouble at all. The picture is unremarkable. No criminal record, no documented history of violence, no extremist ties, no manifesto, no diary entries. Nothing. From the outside, Stephen Paddock looks like any other retiree, spending his final years in desert comfort, wealthy, private, ordinary. But beneath the stillness was something else. Paddock was not impulsive. He was not reckless. He was meticulous, methodical, capable of planning with extraordinary patience. And it was in that precision, in that silent, invisible darkness, that he began to construct something no one around him could see. Back in Las Vegas, the city is reeling. The Strip, normally buzzing with neon lights, laughter, and music, feels unrecognizably silent. As night turns to morning, the urgent search begins for answers and for the missing.
Right now, we know that there is still a massive effort to reunite families with their loved ones. Many people haven't been able to contact them after the shooting, with that number of people injured up to 500, actually over 500 people now.
In hospitals and shelters across the city, families begin their search. They walk the halls, scanning faces, clinging to the fragile hope that a loved one might still be found. For some, there is relief. For many others, there is only heartbreak. Among the wounded that night was Curtis Leone, an off-duty police officer. He was hit by gunfire, yet somehow survived.
We were just enjoying the music, and I heard a volley of gunfire. And I'm a police officer, and I recognized it as real gunshots. And I looked at her and I said, those sounded like real gunshots. People got up and started running again, and the shots started back up, and we were stuck out in the middle of nowhere, and I couldn't get up, and I could hear the shots flying all around us, and there was nothing we could do, and we just sat there hoping we weren't gonna get killed, that we weren't gonna die.
We actually had to put him on a metal barricade, one of the fences that are around, and we put him on that. And at that time, he's extreme amount of pain and trying to lift him around to get him out. So many people helped lift us. And then we ran across the area again because we had to go to the far left side to get out to where there were ambulances were. And we got out there and there were no ambulances because there were so many injured people.
I'm mad at that guy. I'm mad. Why would you do something like that? And just the whole situation. We're there to have a good time, and something like this happens. And you know, our lives are changed forever for no reason, and that really makes me angry.
In the days that follow, the city gathers for vigils, thousands standing shoulder to shoulder, candles in hand, names read aloud into the night. A community broken, yet bound together in grief and solidarity. And then the funerals begin. One of them for Officer Charleston Hartfield, a 34-year-old Army veteran, a youth football coach, and father of two. Hundreds gather to pay tribute.
Look at the word father, soldier, police officer. You see his picture. His loss is devastating, ladies and gentlemen. This country, this community, the police department, our National Guard, we are suffering because of it.
At a press conference, the sheriff's voice is measured, but his eyes reveal the strain.
Well, good evening. Obviously, I'm Sheriff Joe Lombardo with Clark County. What we know is Stephen Paddock is a man who spent decades acquiring weapons and ammo and living a secret life, much of which will never be fully understood. He meticulously planned on the worst domestic attack in United States history. It's troublesome that this individual was able to move this amount of gear into a hotel room unassisted. It's troublesome for the amount of stuff that he had at both residences unassisted. So there's people that know this individual. There's people that can help us understand this individual.
We hope, very much so, to be able to provide concrete information to the public about why this happened, because that's what's on everyone's mind. Because to understand the why helps you deal with the tragedy that we've all faced, and we've all faced it. So, believe me, we want to know why.
In the weeks that follow, the investigation begins in earnest. Agents scour hotel security footage, tracking Stephen Paddock's every movement. They reconstruct his purchases, dozens of firearms, thousands of rounds of ammunition, specialized equipment. They study his final days inside the Mandalay Bay, his room transformed into an arsenal overlooking the concert grounds. They interview his girlfriend, who tells them she had no idea what he was planning. She thought he was kind, quiet, generous. His brothers appear on television, emotional and confused.
This is what everybody's so scared about right now. When Steve can do this, we are in deep shit. Because there's just nothing there. You find me where someone who's like Steve does this. I hope the hell they find, when they do the autopsy, that there's a tumor in his head or something. Because if they don't, we're all in trouble.
Reporters travel to Paddock's home in Mesquite, Nevada. They knock on doors, hoping neighbors might offer clues. Some recall him as polite, if distant, a man who kept mostly to himself. Others remember brief conversations, small talk about the weather or casinos, but nothing that hinted at the darkness ahead.
And that's what is very concerning, knowing that every time he would either come home or leave his house, he had to drive right by our house, and to be bringing that much ammunition and firepower in, driving right by, waving to him, is very concerning. You would never expect him to be a person that would do what he did last night.
It's hard to even imagine that this happened in our little community. We're used to, just like we were out for a walk just now, but we walked by his house the other day, because that's what you do in this community, and you say hello to people in the community, and you don't necessarily know them, because it is a kind of a snowbird, people kind of in and out kind of community, but everybody's friendly, and you always feel like your neighbor will help you no matter what, whether you know them or not. It's just the kind of community that it is.
On January 18, 2018, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department releases its preliminary report. It provides detail, it provides timelines, but it does not provide the answer everyone is searching for: motive. The FBI proposes one theory, that Paddock was driven by a desire for infamy, shaped by suicidal thoughts and a decline in his finances. But his family disputes this. In March 2023, newly released FBI documents add yet another layer. They suggest Paddock may have grown disillusioned with Las Vegas casinos, angry over what he saw as the mistreatment of high rollers like himself. Perhaps, they speculate, the attack was an act of vengeance. But the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police dismiss this theory, standing firm on their conclusion: the motive remains inconclusive. Some psychologists suggest something darker, that as a wealthy older man who had already lived a life of material comfort, Paddock had grown bored. The thrill he once found in high-stakes gambling was fading. The adrenaline was gone. Perhaps he sought a greater rush, one so extreme that it could only be found in the act of unimaginable violence. One comparison is especially the most dangerous game. A wealthy big game hunter, bored with killing animals, turns to a new sport. He lures shipwrecked sailors to his island, then hunts them down, believing humans to be the ultimate prey. For some, the echoes are chilling. A man with wealth, comfort, and freedom, seeking out the one risk he had never taken before: the killing of human beings. And yet, for all the theories, for all the investigations, the truth remains just out of reach. The final report is released. The case is officially closed. And still, the central question: why Stephen Paddock opened fire on thousands of innocent people remains unanswered. For the survivors, the families, the city of Las Vegas, the mystery lingers like an open wound. What drove him? Why here? Why them? In the aftermath of the Las Vegas shooting, grief quickly turned to anger. The sheer scale of the violence, the thousands of rounds of ammunition, the calculated vantage point, the efficiency with which lives were ended, forced the nation to confront not just the tragedy itself, but how it had been made possible. Investigators revealed that Stephen Paddock had outfitted several of his AR-15-style rifles with bump stocks. These aftermarket devices, which replace a rifle's standard stock, were marketed as legal accessories. Clever engineering that skirted the line of what the law allowed. The mechanism harnesses the weapon's own recoil, bumping the trigger rapidly against the shooter's finger. The result is devastating. A semi-automatic rifle, normally limited to 1 round per trigger pull, can mimic the rate of fully automatic fire. As many as 90 rounds in just 10 seconds. From his perch in the Mandalay Bay, this meant Paddock could sweep the crowd with an unrelenting barrage, a storm of bullets so fast, so sustained, that escape was almost impossible. The revelation ignited outrage. To many, bump stocks were a glaring loophole, an end run around the spirit of federal restrictions that dated back to the 1930s, a workaround hiding in plain sight. To others, however, they were simply another tool for sport shooting, a novelty, a piece of equipment that, by itself, had no moral dimension. Why, they argued, should the actions of one man strip millions of gun owners of their rights?
Nico, you're here to buy a rifle today.
Correct.
Are you not put off by what you've seen in Las Vegas?
No, not put off. It's the it's not the weapon's fault. It's the person that's holding the weapon, which a lot of people don't understand. They want to blame something else and not take the responsibility of what their actions are.
I think they've done too much as it is, you know. You can't. They've made the Constitution, the Second Amendment. I mean, you can't change something that's been enacted for, since 1776.
The problem is bad people. I mean, it's a people problem. It's not a gun problem.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Gun control! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Gun control! When do we want it? Now!
And so, once again, America found itself divided, grappling with the same questions it had faced after so many other mass shootings. Protests filled the streets. Advocates demanded immediate action, carrying signs with the names of the dead. Gun rights groups countered, warning of a slippery slope. If bump stocks were banned, what would come next? Magazines? Rifles themselves? The debate raged in Congress, on cable news, in town halls across the country. And in 2018, legislation was finally passed.
Stocks, now officially banned. The Trump administration rolling out the new federal regulation this morning. The devices make it easier to fire rounds from a semi-automatic weapon by harnessing the gun's recoil to bump the trigger faster.
For a brief moment, it seemed a line had been drawn. But history would prove that line was fragile. In 2024, after years of legal challenges, the ban was overturned. The courts ruled that the government had exceeded its authority. Bump stocks were once again legal.
Guys, run! Go! He's coming out this door!
Just over a year after Las Vegas, in November 2018, gunfire erupted inside the Borderline Bar and Grill in Thousand Oaks, California. It was college night. Hundreds of young people dancing, laughing, packed shoulder to shoulder. 12 people were killed that night. Among them was a 27-year-old man named Tel Orfanos, who had survived the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. He had escaped one massacre only to lose his life in another. The tragedy hit like a cruel echo. It seemed to collapse the distance between shootings, blurring them together into a continuous line of grief and outrage, a cycle that felt inescapable. As vigils turned into marches, and marches turned into more vigils, the same arguments repeated, the same wounds reopened. The same cycle played out over and over.